the right thing. The Randy Hayeses and the Mike Bruns and these people. This is what we need. This is what we believe. So let's make it happen. Thanks. She's got the mic.
I'm on the Chico State speech and debate team, and I'm cutting evidence from your books. And I'm wondering if you can give me a soundbite way to defend your credibility.
Can't think of a possible way to do it.
Any suggestions?
I don't. Well, I've written the book. You know, I was an economic hitman. I was chief economist at Charles T. Main. I had 40 some odd people working for me there. I mean, the resume is in the book. I think, okay. If that's not enough, then screw them.
Is it?
That's fine. Go ahead, Michael.
Is it okay?
Yes.
You're next. Okay. I have some good news for you. There's an organization that I've been working on creating called the Network of Spiritual Progressives. It's a national organization of people who have a vision of exactly how to move forward with some of the principles you've been articulating. Amongst them, two of our programs. One is trying to convince the liberal and progressive forces to put forward not only the view of getting out of Iraq, but a positive vision for foreign policy in which we switch the dominant paradigm from domination to generosity. And the specific for that is what we're developing as a global Marshall Plan to take 1 to 2% of the gross domestic product of the United States, and hopefully the United States leading the other G8 countries in this direction, to dedicate each year for the next 20, to dedicate 1 to 2% of our gross domestic product to eliminating global poverty, homelessness, hunger, inadequate education, inadequate health care, and repairing the global environment. So this is a specific program that we are asking presidential candidates and local candidates to sign on to or explain why they won't. It's a specific way to take some of the values that you've articulated and move it into the electoral arena and using the electoral arena as a way to generate some of the consciousness that you're calling for. Second such program is one that we're not moving on right now, but is part of what we call our spiritual covenant with America. And that one calls for a social responsibility amendment to the federal constitution, somewhat comparable to the ERA, which never passed, but the struggle for it made a huge transformation in consciousness. The social responsibility amendment to the Constitution says that every corporation with an income of more than $50 million a year, so we're not talking about mom and pop corporations, but every such corporation with $50 million or more must get a new corporate charter once every 10 years, and that corporate charter will only be granted to those corporations which can prove a satisfactory history of social responsibility to a jury of ordinary citizens.
That's great. Is there a website people can go to get more information?
Absolutely. And the website is www.spiritualprogressives.org. The magazine that we have that articulates this is called Tikkun, Tikkun, Tikkun Magazine. Thank you. And I came here to try to, if I had to grab you and say, we want to interview you for our next issue. So if I can get away, I'll just give you my card and see if you can call me and see if we can set up while you're in town an interview. But just the last thing to say is simply that, and we're having another part of what you said that we resonate very much to is to affirm the goodness in America and not be with those sections of the liberal or progressive world that can only focus on what's negative. And so we're having a July 4th celebration in Tilden Park, which you can also find out by going to the website, and which you're all invited to, just to celebrate what's good in America, which are the struggles that people have engaged in to increase the democratic rights and human rights of people in this country, and to also affirm our interdependence. We're calling it Interdependence Day because just as you had started out saying and affirmed at the end, it's critical that we understand that our well-being depends on the well-being of everyone else on the planet.
Thank you so much.
I hope you will connect.
Thank you. Just,
This is,
let me give you,
this is my number, and I'd love to be able to talk to you and
Thank you. I'll give
set
you-
up a time for an interview.
Thank
in the
you.
next few days.
Yes, many of us have always tried to do the right thing, as you have. And looking back, the right thing at the time, as we saw it, from this perspective, doesn't necessarily look, as your own experience is. How do we guard against self-deception and hubris?
that's a really an excellent, profound question. How do we guard against self-deception and hubris? And so many of us labor under it. It's one of the reasons I tell my story, because I think a lot of the things I did, I never did anything illegal as an economic hitman. What I did should have been illegal, but isn't illegal. And it was easy to deny what I did. And I think, you know, it's critical that we really look deep and look at what we're truly doing and how that's impacting future generations. And my work with indigenous cultures throughout the years has really taught me that well. They have the same struggles, and we all talk about the seventh generation idea, but it's not easy to look to the seventh generation. It never has been. It wasn't for those indigenous people, and it isn't for indigenous people. It isn't for us, but we can do it. And I think we each must do it in whatever we do, whether we're a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, a housewife, a house husband, massage therapist, a writer, whatever we do, we must look deep into that. And when it comes right down to it, it's a personal issue. We should.
So we have time for one more question. And Sean's going to be here signing books, right? So maybe you can catch him to say a few words, well, at that time. But the store closes, so I'm sorry. There's so many people here. We'd love to.
Hi, I just wanted to put out 4 items which I think are facts, and I'd like you to comment on them. First of all, in terms of the campaigns that have been won against corporations, I thoroughly agree. It's a wonderful thing to be doing. I've supported it for years, Rainforest Action, etc. But there are particular campaigns that have changed certain actions of the corporations. They have not changed the corporations. Secondly, as I understand it from my little bit of economics, the whole point of a corporation is to make money. That is absolutely the bottom line. And if they change certain actions, they still very much want that, not just want it. I mean, that is the bottom line.
Let me comment as we go along, because I'm going to forget
Okay.
these, okay?
Okay.
Nowhere is that written. There's no law that says corporations have to make a profit or maximize their profit. There's no such law. If there were, corporate executives wouldn't pay themselves the outrageous amounts of money they pay themselves, and they wouldn't get away with it. Each corporation sets its own rules, and they can define them however they want. And what I'm suggesting is that we help them change those rules.
Okay. I guess finally, 2 more things. The military, the whole huge amounts of money that go into the military, I think that has to be addressed, because you're not going to change Lockheed.
Sounds to me like that's
Lockheed-
your passion. You can do that.
Well, Lockheed
Make it
now
happen.
gets more money from the federal government than the federal government spends on federal programs. And finally, the whole question of the jackals. They're there.
I think this lady has a question.
Yeah, okay. We have time for one more question? If you.
It's really hard to say, and many people may think that the reason I came to you, actually, it's a miracle, because 2 days ago, this situation was almost completely hopeless, and I've been dealing with this for about 4 months, and it's really hard to explain, but I'll try the best I can.